The greatest league in the world returns tomorrow night with the National Football League. Last week, it was Blowout City. Now, NFL Week 9, a new week, a new opportunity to make some money. Welcome to our NFL Week 9 Best Bets episode. Welcome, football fans, to another edition of the Degen Docs here on the DFSG Plus channel. What is up, folks? NFL Week 9, hopefully better than what we saw last week. A ton of blowouts, a ton of bad football, but it's time for a new week. What is up, folks? I'm one of your hosts here at the Degen Doc, and more importantly, I am joined by my brother in degeneracy, Mr. Derek Bennett, aka Professor Locks. How we doing tonight, brother?
Can't complain too much. We got the World Series going on. Heck of a matchup there. But you nailed it. The NFL slate last week. Holy smokes! That was one of the worst Sundays of football that I think I've seen in my lifetime. And I don't know if I would have guessed that there. Obviously, I don't know if anybody would have guessed that there was one game within one score.
Yeah.
And out of all of them, Jets, Bengals?
Really?
Really?
Exactly. And the Jets won, right? A crazy week in the NFL. You always reminding us current events that there apparently are other sports and other things going on. Locked in on football all the time. But hey, folks, look, if this is your first time joining us, welcome. Cheers to you. Thank you for coming on. This is our NFL Week 9 Locks and Props, our best bets episode. A little bit of show structure to break it down. We are going to start with a little bit of our recap from the week. Very quick, big takeaways, quick 5-minute banner. Then we're going to get into our props of the week. We are each going to give out 3 player props, our favorite 3 props for the week. Then we'll get into what we call our Docs prescriptions, our bets we feel so good about. We are prescribing them to you. And then we will do our Degen Parlay and finish off, of course, with a Thursday night football matchup between the 2-6 Miami Dolphins and the 2-5 Baltimore Ravens. Something we did not think we were going to say before.
What a banger.
But you were right on the head, man. You nailed it on the head. Week 8 takeaways. Let's start there. Like, if you thought the NFL kind of sucked last week, well, you're kind of right. Yeah. As Derek said, only one game within it that finished in a 1-score game. And there was only 3 games that were within 2 touchdowns when it was all said and done. So it was just blowout city, left and right. And of course, pure chaos is what had to happen for the Jets to get their first win, which was a great opportunity for your Steelers.
Was it chaos, or was it Woody Johnson being an asshole and calling out Justin Fields, plus, a staple of the franchise, sadly passing away, and Nick Mangold, that I think it was the day before they played, and right. There's a little bit more emotion on the Jets side late in that game, and they were able to come back to beat the Bengals, which, as a Steelers fan, I was perfectly fine with.
Right. I mean, no, I think tragic magic, of course. Nick Mangold, a great player, fortunately passed away in his early 40s, kidneys disease there. And the team obviously rallied around. Obviously, you're right. The GM basically said, how do we win games with a quarterback like that? And Justin Fields, you got to give him credit. He played well.
Wasn't the GM. It was the owner.
The owner, excuse me. You're right. Correct. Well, yes. So even worse. He was trying to defend Aaron Glenn, but in the same token, in the same breath, also bad-mouthing his quarterback, number one. So interesting strategy, but hey, the Jets got to try anything to get it to work out there. And I do have to say, last piece of banter, unfortunately, pour one out for my man, Cam Skattebo. Who is going to be out for the season. Ouch. As we all saw, your ankle is not supposed to be pointing that direction. No. He had an ankle dislocation, a fibula fracture, and a deltoid ligament tear. Did a little bit of an injury analysis recap on him over on the X if you want to check that out. But really, just a fun player. I mean, first Malik Neighbors and now Cam Skattebo. I would like to simulate to next season and just bubble wrap Jackson Dart, because I don't know how much more I can take as a Giants fan.
Yeah, that's probably a fair statement. You might as well just put Russ back out there, get another top 5 pick, and roll on.
Don't wish that bad on me. At least I can somewhat enjoy parts of the game when Jackson Dart is out there. Russell Wilson experience, as you know, is not a fun
Hey,
experience.
hey, it is spooky season. We could throw Jameis Winston out there.
I would much
Just
prefer
throwing
Jameis
her out.
Winston over Russell Wilson. I would love to get Russell Wilson traded for a bag of chips at this point. But hey, we were talking about week 8. We had been on an incredible run, 17-7 in our locks the past 3 weeks before last week. Unfortunately, last week things kind of took a little bit of a turn.
Yeah.
We're locks. We are still 19-13, hitting at a crazy 60% over the last 4 weeks for our best bets. So nothing to write home about. Obviously, last week looking to right the ships. I did go 3-0 on the props, and we were both profitable on Thursday night. Just
Yep.
locks. I mean, hey, it's hard to predict
We've
that every
we've
favorite
been locked in on Thursday the last 2 or 3 weeks as well,
we
which
have.
is which has been very profitable. It's been nice.
Favorite covered, every over hit. Very weird week in the NFL, but we're looking to
Yeah.
get back and maybe back some dogs here in a great spot.
Yeah.
Looking at NFL Week 9, let's talk bye weeks just really quickly. We've got
Yeah.
4 teams on bye, 2 teams that desperately need it, and 2 teams that are looking hot and looking to secure the 1 seed. You got the Cleveland Browns, the New York Jets, Philadelphia Eagles, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, hoping to get healthy off the bye there. Let's roll right into week 9. I think it's time to get going. Time to no more time looking in the review.
We're locked and
Roll it
loaded.
out
Lasers are focused in.
all
Let's roll.
week 9. Let's start with these props of the week. Each giving out 3 props here. I'll let you go first, my friend. What is your first prop for NFL week 9?
Yeah, let's flip it over to I believe it's the Sunday night game in Washington, Seattle at Washington. I really think that Sam Darnold is going to have a huge game against Washington this upcoming week. Washington so far has given up the 4th most passing yards to opposing quarterbacks. They have the 4th worst quarterback rating for opposing quarterbacks, and this is a number that Sam Darnold, I believe, has hit in 3 of the last 4 weeks, and the 4th
Yeah.
week was just a game script kind of thing. They were leading quite by quite a large margin, end up just running the ball. So I like Sam Darnold over 244 and a half passing yards at -110.
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, I will get to it a little bit later, but I like Seattle in that spot. And even though I think there's a little bit of blowout potential, you will be getting Jaden Daniels back on the other side, so there
Right.
should be some need to go ahead and score. And they've been, I believe, this is in Washington, right?
It is.
Yeah, Seattle's been really good on the road. It's been a
Really,
weird
really
kind of
good.
home road split, and
Right.
Darnold's give him credit. I mean, he's been playing really well. So
Yep.
past year and a half, he's been on fire. So I like that play. I'm going to start with an under. Last week, I
Okay.
took an under on a rushing prop that came in easily in Ramondre Stevenson. This week, going to Green Bay, and I'm taking their team they're going against. Rico Dowdle, under 51 and a half rushing yards, -110 over at Bet365. This is a situation where I like this play for a couple of reasons. One, game script. I do not believe, your Andy Dalton terrible last week. They got blown out by the Bills, right?
Yep.
Now you have a situation where Bryce Young is likely going to play, coming just 2 weeks off that high ankle sprain. I think he's going to be a bit limited. I think they're going to have a little trouble scoring in Lambeau, going away from Carolina. They've been a much better team at home. And we got a situation where the Panthers are like refusing to give Rico Dowdle the starting spot. They're kind
Yeah.
of, it's a tough situation. You have Chuba Hubbard, who is one of your captains on
Right.
your team. He's come back from injury. You never want a guy to lose a spot off injury. But I mean, it looks like Dowdle is a more explosive guy. But still, if we look at
Completely agree.
last week, Dowdle only got 8 carries composed to, Chuba Hubbard, who was in double digits.
Yep.
He's hit this number in 4 out of the past 4 weeks. So it's kind of one of those things. Why are you trying to fade him? Well, he was going against Miami, one of the worst rush defense in the league. Dallas, top 5 worst defense. Jets were terrible against the rush. And then Buffalo, who is also a team that's not very good against the run.
Yeah.
Now he goes against a Packers team that is the number 3 team in the
Pretty solid.
league. They're only giving up less than 80 yards a game. So
Yep.
I think game script, the split carry situation, and just the matchup in general, I think 51 and a half is just too much. I think that, even if he gets 8, 9 carries, I don't think he's going to be able to pop over that 51.5 mark. So give me Rico Dowdle under 51.5 against the Green Bay defense. What is your prop number 2?
Yeah, I'll stick with another under with another running back, and this is one that I kind of like the team matchup. I just don't like the player matchup with this one,
Right.
and that's Travis Etienne under 61.5 rushing yards. The Raiders rush defense is okay. I think the eighth fewest rushing yards to this point. They're only giving up about 3.9 yards per carry. And the big thing is when Travis Etienne has had big games up to this point, it's been off of like big 30, 40, 60-yard runs. Well, the
Yeah.
Raiders have only given up 3 carries over 20 yards the entire season. So they don't really give up those big plays very often. And the last 3 weeks, this number's hit pretty easily. Last week, he only ran for 44. The week before that, 27. The week before that, 49. Now, the week before that, he ran for 124 against San Francisco at
Right.
home, but he had 19 carries in that game, and so yeah, I think overall, I think this is going to be you know Sunshine Lawrence throwing the ball around a little bit more than Travis Etienne trying to break off big runs. So give me his under.
Yeah, you also have a situation where, like you said, Goldilocks is running a little bit more in Trevor Lawrence. You've got Tugboat Tootin over there. They
Yeah.
give LaQuinn Allen some carries sometimes. So,
Yep.
yeah, I think that the way to attack this Raiders team is not, just running right at them. I think they're very vulnerable in some other spots. But, yeah, I can get them on board with that. Next guy, I'm going to go to give me Jameson Williams, longest reception over 21.5 receiving yards at -110 over at DraftKings. This is a guy that I'm kind of, fading the last game as well. He just kind of ran around and did some cardio last week against the
Yep.
Bucks. He had 2 targets, 0 catches, 0 yards, 0 everything. So why are you kind of picking this guy? Well, if you go before last week, in 4 out of the previous 5 games, he had went over this mark with 22, 27, 24, and a 64-yard reception. And then we look at the opponent. So one, everyone hears, as much as we think like players, oh, they don't listen to any social media. I mean, half of them are doing podcasts right now. They
Yeah. Right.
know, I think people realize, like, all right, we got to get Jameson Williams involved. And you look at this Vikings defense, they're an aggressive defense. They live by the
Yep.
sword and they die by the sword. So we've seen them in the past couple of weeks get torched.
Yep.
Gadsden went for a 40-yard reception. Lad McConkey went for a 27-yard reception. If we go back to the Eagles game the week before, both A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith went for over 40-yard receptions. Huge gains there. Jameson Williams is the guy to take advantage of this defense. And it doesn't matter. I don't even think we have to talk Graham Skipped in this one, because the Detroit Lions do not care if they're down by 50 or they're up by 50. They're going to
Nope.
run their offense, and they're going to do whatever plays that they need to get down the field. So I love Jameson Williams here in a bounce back spot. I think that, look, they're going to have to blitz this Lions team. I think some plays they're going to be effective, and other plays they're going to get beat. And I think Jameson Williams, give me JMO to kind of burn him there. It only takes one for him. I like the over 21.5 receiving yards for longest reception. And this is definitely one I'll be laddering because I could see this, not just being like right on the number, but I really think he's got a 50 plus in him.
Agreed. I like that one as well. My final prop this week is fading an absolute shit team with their best defensive back on the IR, and I absolutely love Keenan Allen this week against the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
When way back when we were kind of predicting, the team's outlook, we were basically saying, hey, who do the Chargers have to throw to other than Lad McConkey? The week before, they
Right.
signed Keenan Allen. Quentin
Yep.
Johnston has had a resurgence, or basically just a surgence of his career.
Yes.
But who's the leading receiver on this team? It's not Lad McConkey. It's not Quentin Johnston. It's Keenan Allen, the
Yeah.
old wily
Your
vet.
face. Yeah.
So, and to be honest with you, I was pretty surprised to see this number as low as it was. I'll probably ladder this one as well, but Keenan
Yeah.
Allen over 43.5 receiving yards. I think that he has a pretty big game against Tennessee.
Yeah, I think the chemistry there is almost undeniable. Obviously, playing together earlier in Herbert's career, but then after, yeah, I like Keenan Allen. And the Titans are a team where it's just so easy to fade them at this point,
Yep.
right? It's like, is there anything that we don't like against this
Dumpster
Titans
fire
team?
down
They're
there
they're
in
kind of
Nashville.
they're on a historically bad run.
Yep.
All right, my
Luckily,
final
Nashville
prop.
has Vandy because holy smokes, do the Titans suck.
Yeah. Good thing Diego Pavia is there, still in the same city.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? Vanderbilt, not going to make that dumb argument that a NFL team would lose to a college team, but
No.
I'll take Diego Pavia right now. So, give me Patrick Mahomes over 27.5 rushing yards, -110. Look, it's pretty simple. This is Patrick
Big
Mahomes
game.
in a primetime spot, right? Big game. It's the annual Bills Chiefs matchup where a lot of people tend to read too far into this because it's just the regular season, but this is a
Yeah.
big deal, right? The Allen Mahomes rivalry, people are calling it the best modern rivalry since, Brady and Manning.
Yep.
And we have a situation where Isaiah Pacheco is going to be out for several weeks. So that's
Yep.
your lead back. Although, if you were following me last night or what is it? Today's Wednesday. So 2 nights ago on X, I gave
Yep.
out my guy Kareem Hunt. If you've been following me for any amount of time, you know I love Kareem Hunt. Not
Yes, you
only one
do.
touchdown, 2 touchdowns, 30-1 cash. Nice little bring back after a down Sunday. So hopefully you tailed there. But I'm going to go Patrick Mahomes, a guy who has had to run more this year, and he's obliged. This is a low number in 27.5. He's hit this at 4 out of the 4 past weeks. He's only not hit this 2 weeks this entire season. So, I think that Mahomes knows he's going to have to put the team on his back a little bit. And the
Yep.
Buffalo Bills are a team that their rush defense is pretty poor. And it's not just against the running backs. Their first 2 weeks, they played Lamar Jackson, who went for 70 yards, and they played Jets team where Justin Fields went for over 40, got knocked out, and then Tyrod in like a quarter went for 25 yards. So
Right.
this is a team that they are susceptible to running quarterbacks. And as much as he toned it down a couple years before in the regular season, Patrick Mahomes this year needs to be viewed as a rushing quarterback. I think the over
Yeah.
27.5 is way too low of a line there. All right, let's do a quick recap here for the NFL Week 9 props of the week. For Derek there, he's got Sam Darnold over 244.5 passing yards as they go up against a Washington Commanders team that is reeling right now. Travis Etienne under 61.5 rushing yards against a stingy Las Vegas Raiders rush defense. Keenan Allen over 43.5 receiving yards. How can you not love anything over against this Titans defense? We got for myself, Rico Dowdle under 51.5 rush yards. I'm going to fade the whole fantasy love wave there. I think it's a split carries and just a bad matchup situation. You got Jamison Williams, longest reception, over 21.5 receiving yards against those Vikings that play a very aggressive style of defense that lets some things over the top. And then Patty Mahomes over 27.5 rush yards against those Buffalo Bills. I like him to use his legs a little bit out of necessity, a little bit to show off for the prime time lights there. All right. Now it's time for the bounce back. Again,
Right.
last week, not the week, but still 19-13 on our best bets in the past 4 weeks at 60%. We're ready to get back on the correct side of things. This is our Degen Docs prescriptions bets we feel so good about. We are prescribing them to you. So why don't you lead us off here with your first best bet for NFL Week 9?
Yeah, so I mean, we've said this in the past, but just as a quick reminder, we don't necessarily share our picks ahead of time. Sebastian has to share with me just because I do the graphics, and if there's any graphics issues, I
I
don't
need to know
know
who.
if I should have
So now
said
you
that.
know
But
who's accountable.
um,
There you go.
but at the same time, I do know that we do have quite a few of similar picks
There's some
this week.
overlap.
We're
Yeah.
kind of seeing the board in the same way here. So
Yeah.
let's talk about those 3 games first, and then we'll wrap up with the one that we differ in.
Okay.
Let's start with the Jags game.
Yeah.
I think we both absolutely love the Jags in this spot going to Las Vegas. I just think that the Raiders pass defense absolutely sucks.
It's
And
bad.
or passing offense, passing defense, they both
All
suck.
of it.
Um, and I think in general, I personally was pretty surprised to see this as a 3-point spread. I
Yeah.
was expecting 4.5, 5.5, somewhere in there, even being on the road. But I think this is a Jags team that has gotten some things going early on in the season. They're coming off the bye. And they were reeling a little bit before the bye. Had a couple losses.
Yeah.
I'm fully expecting Liam Cohen to get this thing right against a pretty bad Las Vegas Raiders team. So give me the Jags -3.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. We've got them. They're -3, -115 over at Bet365. There.
Yep.
Yeah, I was shocked by this line as well. I think we're getting a little bit of recency bias. I understand the
Sure.
Jags are on a 2-game losing streak, but they
Yeah.
lost a tough game at home to the Seahawks. Seahawks are a good team, and that was off the letdown of the Sunday night game against the Chiefs. Big home win
Yep.
there. And then they went
Right.
to London and they got their butts kicked by the Rams. I get it. It didn't look good. In my opinion, Rams and Seahawks are really good teams. The
Yep.
Raiders are still a very bad team in my mind.
Yep.
Both these teams are coming off the bye, but let's not forget
Right.
the Raiders just lost 31-0. Gardner Minshew was in the game in the third quarter. If that
Yep.
tells you any kind of idea of how bad the Chiefs were beating this team. I understand that Brock Bowers is expected to be back this week. We'll see about Jacoby Myers. That is all fine and dandy. But first of all, the Jaguars have been the number one team to the tight end this year. So they've been actually really good against the tight
Right.
end. So or excuse me, I'm getting mixed up with Atlanta, but they have been good against the tight end, especially if they get Devin Lloyd back. But, this Raiders team, the only team they beat the Patriots in a surprise spot in week 1 that we were on, and then they've
Yep.
beaten the
The
Titans at
Titans.
home. Everybody else they've lost to, in most cases, they've gotten blown out. Like, this is not a good team. Geno Smith is leading the NFL in interceptions. He's a mess
Yep.
right now. And I mean, are you
Right.
going to go Kenny Pickett? Are you going to go Aiden O'Connell? Like, there's no real viable option.
Sure.
I think the Jags have been very opportunistic. They lead the league in turnovers. They are really good at intercepting, especially Devin Lloyd has like 4 or 5 of them himself. He's been on a
Yep.
tear. So I
Yep.
love the Jaguars in this spot to go into Las Vegas. This is another one where home field isn't really there for the Raiders right now. There's a lot of teams that like to
Nope.
take a fun trip to Vegas. I'm sure Jags
Oh,
fans
yeah.
are ready to come off the bye and go out and hang out in Vegas. So, yeah, I like this as well. So give us both the Jags -3 on the road in Las Vegas. It's pretty simple, but it's a good team going against a really bad team. I mean, I put the Raiders down there with the Titans, the Jets, some of these real bottom feeder teams.
Right. Agreed.
All right, I will intro the next one, and then I'll let you
Sure.
add on. We do have
Yep.
so many. I'm a bit shocked. I mean, these plays they made a lot of
This
sense.
this rarely happens. Usually there
Usually, it's
might be
like
1, maybe
right.
2, but
I don't know if we've ever had a week where 3 out of the
I don't think
4
so.
are all the same. But let's hope it's good news because it's either going to be another really good or really bad. So we'll see. We'll be in it together. All right, I was talking about that primetime matchup. Let's just stick there. Kansas City
Yeah.
Chiefs -2.5, -105 against Buffalo Bills. I understand this game is in Buffalo. Buffalo,
Yep.
it's a raucous environment. It's going to be the 4:25 local time kick there. It'll be America's Game of the Week, yada, 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 all of that. I understand that.
Yep.
I'm not convinced this Bills team is very good.
Yeah.
It's weird to say about a team that's 5-2 and 3-1 at home, but they've beaten the Panthers, the Saints, the Dolphins. I understand a Ravens team who's 2-5, and the Jets. Not
Not
exactly
great,
the
man.
best quality of opponents.
Yeah.
And I still think they have a lot of issues. Now, they came out and they went off the bye, and we were kind of on this that they were going to go over to Carolina and kind of beat the brakes off them. They played Andy Dalton, right?
Yeah.
I
Right.
don't think that really tells me a ton. Meanwhile, the Chiefs, and I've kind of said this ever since that Jacksonville game, like especially with Rashee Rice back, this
Yep.
team looks different. Like they
Yeah.
look like they are on a mission to really right some wrongs from the Super Bowl last year and kind of show that they can be a dynamic offense again.
Yeah.
The Pacheco injury is a thing. Not that big of a deal to me. I think Kareem Hunt, Brashard Smith
Yep.
are more than capable of picking up the slack there. Hopefully Trey Smith, I'm expecting him to be able to come back and play this week. We'll see about the left tackle and Josh Simmons. Jalen Morris has done well, but I
Yep.
think that the Bills, the Chiefs defense is really what's turned around as well. Like the Bills just don't have wide receivers right now. They don't have guys who are going to challenge. It's going to either have to be Kincaid or kind of a bit of a famine there. So I'm on the Chiefs. What say you, my friend? Why are you backing these Kansas City Chiefs?
Yeah, I absolutely love the Chiefs here because I mean the Buffalo Bills, last week obviously um, only giving up 9 points to the Panthers with a backup in not Sam
Andy
Darnold,
Dalton.
Andy Dalton. Thank you. But other than that, I mean they've been giving up some points this year,
Yeah.
and the Chiefs over the past 5 weeks they're averaging about 30 points a game.
Yeah.
And this Chiefs offense has looked different over the last 3 or 4 weeks, ever since Rashee Rice has come back.
Yep.
The Chiefs have wide receivers, and they have them in bunches, and they have speed with that. This Bills defense, we know that they've been struggling with defending the run. I don't know if the Chiefs are necessarily going to be able to attack that a ton, but at the same time, I think they're going to have enough balance to where they can throw the ball on this Buffalo Bills defense. Patrick Mahomes is still one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and he's right there at the top of the MVP conversation. Him and Jonathan Taylor, in my opinion. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I absolutely love the Chiefs' offense going against this Buffalo Bills defense. That other than against the Panthers, has definitely shown some weakness over the past 3 or 4 weeks, most of the season. And yeah, I think the Chiefs go into Buffalo and get a big win here.
Yeah, look, and Kareem Hunt, man, he looks pretty good this year. I
Yeah,
mean, people always want to joke and whatever, but
he
I
does.
will be on Kareem Hunt and Brashard Smith rushing props when they're posted this week.
Yep,
This Buffalo defense, I'm not convinced is fixed, and their offense as well. Like they've been turning the ball over. They don't. Josh Palmer is likely going to be out again. They don't have
yep,
anyone who's going to stretch the field.
yep.
Love it. So, all right, why don't you bring out that third game, and then we'll talk about the ones we differ on.
Yeah, let's talk about the Denver Broncos going down to Houston probably the second biggest matchup of this weekend.
You're right.
I think that in general, this Denver defense is starting to come into shape here, and they're really starting to play pretty well together. And this Houston offense is still struggling to figure out how to move the ball. They
Yeah.
don't necessarily have a running back that's going to scare you. CJ Stroud can make plays if he's got time, and against this Denver pass rush that is absolutely crushing it. They're leading the league in sacks. I don't know if he's going to be able to. I know that the Houston defense is also pretty stout, but I think Bo Nix and Dobbins and the boys over there in Denver are going to be able to score enough points to cover and most likely win this one, but at least cover that 1.5 point spread.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I think you nailed it on what the difference is. Everyone's going to talk about Patrick Surtain being out. He's got a pec
Yep.
strain. He's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks. Yes, that is a
Yep.
big thing. Nico Collins, maybe Christian Kirk should be coming back. Nico Collins
Right.
coming off the concussion. The
Right.
big thing is I don't think the Texans can protect CJ Stroud. They
Right.
still have very glaring issues on the offensive line. And we're talking
Yep.
about a Denver defense that's getting Trey Greenlaw back, and they lead the league in sacks by a wide margin. Like Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, Jonah Ellis, Zach Allen,
Very
Frankie
impressive.
Myers, all those guys are going to make CJ Stroud life, a nightmare on Sunday.
Yep.
And so I get it. They've won 2 out of the last 3. They've beaten a Baltimore team that was basically a hospital
Everyone.
crew, and a
Right.
San Francisco 49ers team as well, very injured. They have no pass rush. They could not take
Nope.
advantage of such a bad offensive line. I
Right.
think this is a little bit of everyone's making a huge deal about Surtain. He's a huge player, but it's going to come against a team that can protect enough to make
Yep.
that kind of vulnerability come out. So
It,
yeah, give me the Broncos.
and I think it might actually potentially help Riley Moss a little bit, who's been struggling a little bit just because nobody's wanting to throw at Surtain. Riley
Right.
Moss is getting, I think, like 60% or something like that of
Yeah.
the targets
Crazy
just
amount.
because nobody wants to throw at Surtain.
Yeah.
So Riley Moss has been struggling a little bit. He's been giving up yards. He's been getting PIs called on him left and right. just because he's getting so much volume thrown
Yeah.
his way, I think teams will start to try to divvy that up a little bit, and it might help a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, it's really just the Houston O line. I don't think it is good enough to hold
Yeah.
up to take advantage of that kind of matchup there. All
Yep.
right, what is your final best bet for Week 9?
Yeah, this one, I think that I love this spot for Carolina. It kind of is a little bit scary, but I think Green Bay coming off of a big win in Pittsburgh, Carolina just got blown out by the Bills. Going on the road to Green Bay is always a hostile environment, but I think that Andy Dalton is going to have a little bit of juice coming off that big or massive loss to Buffalo. I think he will start to play a little bit better in week 2. And this Packers team, obviously they beat my Steelers by 10 points on Sunday Night Football. That was a tale of two halves. And once the second half got rolling,
Mm-hmm.
the Steelers just couldn't keep up. Like, that's not the game plan that the Steelers like to play. I was not necessarily as impressed with the Packers as I was uh, frustrated with my Pittsburgh Steelers, partially because of fandom, but partially just because Pittsburgh Steelers defense sucks.
Yeah.
And I think this is a Carolina uh, defense that has looked a lot better this year than in the past few years. And I think that they're going to be able to slow down Josh Jacobs and Jordan Love and Tucker Kraft as well, and keep this within a pretty big point spread here at 13.5.
Yeah. No, it is scary because, like, on paper, Bryce Young, they've got some linemen beat up. Like, is
Yep.
he going to but 13.5 points is a ton of points in the NFL. I know we just came off a bunch of blowouts, but that is a
Yep.
rare occurrence. So
Right.
this is probably a stay
This
away
is
for
this is
me.
more of a gambling instincts play in my mind.
2 touchdowns. It's a lot in the National Football League. So, and the Panthers have been scrappy with Bryce Young. I mean, I
Yep.
think that was probably a little bit more of like, man, Andy Dalton. I mean, we saw it with Kirk Cousins, but some of these, not everyone's Joe Flacco.
Right.
Not everyone's going to come
Right.
off the couch and look really good
No
and at
doubt.
least competent. Now, all right, my last one. Give me the Seattle Seahawks -3 on the road against the Washington Commanders. There, it's a weird situation. It's one that I hand up. I was wrong about the
Yeah.
Seattle Seahawks in the offseason. I
Yeah.
thought they were going to be a bad team. I thought Sam Darnold was going to struggle, yada, yada, yada. This is a legit, really good team. Like, they've only lost 2 games to the Bucks in a 3-point game at home, and then to the 49ers, I believe, early in the season, if not week 1, that was. They're 3-0 on the road.
Yep.
So typically, all right, Washington, they're going to come home and get right. No, the Commanders on a 3-game losing streak. No Terry McLaurin. He's already been ruled out. They have a short week. They just played Monday night. Meanwhile, the
Right.
Seattle Seahawks are coming off a bye. So
Yep.
there's a huge kind of rest
That's
discrepancy
disparity.
there
Yep.
that you're able to kind of take advantage of. And I really just think the Seahawks are a much better team right now. Their defense, they have I believe, the top rushing defense in the NFL. Quietly, like, one of the best defenses in the NFL, despite guys like Julian Love and guys like Witherspoon being out. And
Mhm.
they should be coming back off the bye. That's the expectation, at least. Their reports are going to come out a little bit later
Right.
today. But they're getting healthier, coming off the bye, and the Commanders are a team that is just drowning right now. And I know Jaden Daniels is going to come back, but now you don't have Terry McLaurin out there, so you're down your best wide receiver against a team that is the best in the NFL against the run.
Yep.
I love the Seattle Seahawks. Sunday Night Football. Sam Darnold is going to he's going to get your passing yards, and this team's going to look really good again. This is just a team that I've already kind of flipped the switch on, but the Seattle Seahawks are a legit team and a legit contender in the NFC West. So give me the Seahawks -3. Quick recap on the best bets for Professor Locks there. Give him the Broncos +1.5 against those Houston Texans. The Jags on the road against Las Vegas Raiders. The Chiefs on the road against the Buffalo Bills. And then the Carolina Panthers as +13.5 road dogs there. All road teams. I just found out that you are backing. For myself, well, 3 out of 4 are the same. I'm also on the Broncos, the Jags, and the Chiefs. And I'm
Yep.
also on another road team as well. Give me the Seattle Seahawks -3.
That might be a first as well.
I know, right? Back in 5 road teams. What in the world could go wrong there? But
Right.
that's just how the cookie crumbled this week.
No doubt.
So now for the fun part of the show, it is our Degen plays time where we take a little bit of pizza money and try to make.
The
Hey,
big
I'm
bucks.
coming off a week. I've hit 2 30 to 1s in a row.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can continue this here. So I'll let you start first. What do you got for the people?
Yeah, I got a little pleaser this week, a 3-team pleaser, and two of them are part of my locks. The third one is yet again a road team. That's not part of my locks, but give me the Carolina Panthers +7. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars -9.5. And then give me the New Orleans Saints to keep it close against the Rams at +3.5 for a nice 40-1 play.
Woo! I think you just found the three ugliest plays you could possibly make and put them together. But that is the Carolina
I
Panthers.
thought about throwing the Titans and the Dolphins on Thursday night in there, but I decided to stay away.
Yeah, you stayed out of the stink a little bit, but the Panthers +7 on the road in Lambeau, the Jags -9.5 in Vegas, and the Saints in Tyler Shuck's first official start plus three
Right.
and a half on the road in LA, 40-1. Um, just reading that, I feel like it should be more than 40-1. If you hit that, I will be very, very proud of you. For myself, I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing. We've been on a little bit of a cold streak, but we are still up 11 units since we've done it. So going to give out 4 anytime touchdown bets where I just feel like there is value and it does not match the number being posted. Brock Wright. Brock Wright has 2 touchdowns for the Detroit Lions in a
Yep.
game where I think this Lions offense is going to take advantage of it. Vikings defense, we're finding out, is not as good as we thought they were.
Sure.
I think this is going to be a high scoring game on both sides. And Brock Wright, 8-1. I think that's just insane. He's going to be out there again. He's got 2 touchdowns basically in the 2 games where they've scored, 35 plus points against the Bears and a couple weeks ago. Brock Wright scored. This is another one where I think they're laying 8.5 at home. I think that JJ McCarthy coming off that injury is going to be in for a rude awakening. The Lions, they do not care how much they're up against. They're going to score. Brock Wright 8-1 for the first one. Next one, a guy that scored last week, Chargers wide receiver Trey Harris. We've kind of seen a little bit of a changing of a guard. He had a couple targets for a touchdown last week. You're going
Right.
up against a Titans defense that is no Jeffrey Simmons. L'Jarius Sneed is on the IR. Arden Key is
Yep.
not practicing. Like, they're terrible, and their best players are going to be out. You're taking advantage of them in the prop market there with Keenan Allen.
Yep.
I think this has blowout potential, and they're going to start rotating in some guys. Quentin Johnston was a no-show last week. He's kind of getting
Sure.
rotated out. They're showing more Trey Harris. I think he's a little bit better of a blocker.
Mhm.
Campbell and Harbaugh are like to reward their guys that block, and that's a
Yes.
little bit what I'm playing for. I know it's a little bit of a narrative, but it worked for Brock Wright twice this season, and it worked for Trey Harris last week. He's 11-1 there for his anytime touchdown. Then Tanner Hudson, he's coming back from injury. He's
Okay.
played in 2 games with Joe Flacco, and he has scored 1 touchdown. He's also 8-1 in a game where they're going up against the Chicago Bears. And that is a situation where the Bears are already out. Kyler Gordon and their nickelback. They just trying CJ GJ to try to fill in. Like, they got injuries kind of all over the place. So I
Yep.
like Tanner Hudson in a game where I also think there's going to be some points because any game with the Bengals defense, we saw it against the Jets. There's
Yeah.
liable to be a ton of points.
Yeah.
And
No
then
doubt.
finally, we were both on the Jags, and I think a guy that can find the end zone is Johnny Munt. He is the tight end number 2.
Yep.
Brenton Strange, is still on the IR. Hunter Long is the number 1 guy, but Johnny Munt's coming off a game where he just had 4 or 5 targets. He's someone who's going to be out there on the field, and he is 6-1 to score. So all these guys over 5-1, all guys that a lot of tight ends, but a lot of guys who are going to be on the field for a lot of snaps, and their teams are projected to score a ton of points. That is Brock Wright 8-1, Trey Harris 11-1, Tanner Hudson 8-1, and Johnny Munt 6-1. A bunch of backup tight ends. That's how you find value in the NFL. All right, my friend, it is time for our Thursday night football preview. We're going to preview this Thursday night game and then get on out of here, folks.
Got a hit here. This
Yeah,
is
right.
a banger.
A lot of people probably thought this was going to be a really good game going into the year. Now, I have been a skeptic all season long against these Miami Dolphins. I think
Right.
the Ravens being 2-5 is the real kind of, hey, where did this come from? But we
Sure.
have the 2-5 Baltimore Ravens heading down to South Beach to take on the 2-6 Miami Dolphins. Despite the records, the road Ravens are laying 7.5. Over under sitting at 51.5. The Ravens are minus 440 on the money line. The Dolphins plus 340. We'll go through injuries here. Obviously, the injury report is a big reason why this spread is what it is. But
Yeah.
every single player on the Ravens 53-man roster is fully practicing today and will be active for Thursday night. I don't know if that's ever happened. So a team that went from one of the most injured teams in the NFL to now the healthiest you could possibly be, including quarterback Lamar Jackson, who was a full participant in practice all week. Now, we don't have to talk about it right now, but the whole full participant, hopefully they don't go back and retroactively change his status, which is
Right.
complete nonsense.
Right.
Expect some disciplinary there. But Ravens are supposed to be very, very healthy. I mean, that's what they are on paper. And then you got a Miami Dolphins team that, is a little bit more beat up. You've got Julian Hill, tight end, has already been out. You have Darren Waller on the IR already, so they're down a couple tight ends. You've got safety Ashton Davis, doubtful. You've got other safety Afida Melifonwu, questionable. Minka Fitzpatrick will be good to go. He got banged up a little bit late. And then Bradley Chubb and cornerback Jason Marshall also questionable. And quarterback Storm Duck, a starter for this Miami Dolphins team,
Sounds like a Disney character or something stupid.
it does sound very made up, but it is a real person, and he was a real starter for this very bad secondary.
Yep.
He is out for the year.
Yeah.
So, the injury report doesn't even really tell you how many guys are missing for Miami.
Right.
Meanwhile, you have a Baltimore Ravens team who is healthy,
Starting to get healthier.
although are they still any good? And that's where
Right.
you're going to come in, my friend. What is your analysis? Give me
Yep.
whether it's a side, it's a total play. What is your analysis for this Thursday night game?
Yeah. Overall, I think this is a game with two bad teams right now. Now, Baltimore, we don't know if they are truly as bad as they have been over the past 4 or 5 weeks, with
Correct.
their starting quarterback being out and a
Right.
bunch of missing pieces on the defense. But
Yeah.
even when they were healthy the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, this Baltimore Ravens defense was giving up points left and right to basically everybody except for the Cleveland Browns, who doesn't score very many points to begin with. So I'm gonna ultimately stay away from the spread in this one, just because I could see Baltimore really putting it to the Dolphins on the road, but I could also see the Dolphins taking advantage of that questionable
Porous defense.
secondary.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
questionable secondary, porous defense as a whole for the Baltimore Ravens and keeping this one close. But I don't like the Miami's the Dolphins defense. I already said I don't like the Baltimore Ravens defense. I like the over in this one at 51.5.
Yeah.
It's a pretty high total. It's one of the highest totals on the board for this week, but I think both defenses suck. I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to want to try to put up as many points as they can,
Yeah.
and I think that Tua and Achane and the guys figured a little bit of something out last week. I don't know if it's finally back in Old McDonald or whatever his name is, but I think that there's going to be points scored.
Yeah, I do not hate that. I will be on a side, and I'm going to be on the Baltimore Ravens laying the 7.5 here. It is a big number. I get it, but
Yep.
I think we get a rare opportunity to fade this Miami Dolphins team off a win. Not only a win, but like a blowout win. And I think
Yep.
that has a lot more to do with Kirk Cousins than it does this Miami Dolphins team. If you look, like there's multiple plays where there was guys on the field who did not know the play. Like they were
Oh, yeah.
running separate things. There's a receiver that was asking what play are we running, and then Kirk threw him the ball, and it was way
Sure.
off. Like that offense was completely out of sync. Absolute embarrassing performance there. And I don't think Miami has all of a sudden figured it out. I
Yeah.
think that the Baltimore Ravens understand we have to go on a run. There is no opportunity to, look past the team or take someone lightly. You have Lamar coming back. You have the entire team healthy. I think this is where they make a statement right now. Again, how much of a statement is it against the Dolphins? Whatever, but it's Thursday night. It's prime time. I think they're going to want to show out.
Yep.
And, Miami, despite holding Bijan and Tyler Algier to incredibly low numbers, they're still a top 5 worst rushing defense in the NFL going
Yep.
against Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Like that.
Yep.
That's all I need right now. Tua does not have Tyreek Hill. He does not have Darren Waller, and he has been prone to turning the ball over and changing games with a couple of key turnovers. So I will be rolling with the Ravens. Excuse me. I love the Ravens in this spot. All right, what props are you on for this one?
Yeah, let me start on the Dolphins side because I have quite a few more on that side. Give me Tua to throw for more than 216 and a half passing yards. I mentioned it earlier. I don't think this Baltimore Ravens pass defense is very good. And I think Tua, although missing Tyreek Hill, has figured out something with Jalen Waddle and Malik Washington, and obviously you got A-Chain coming out of the backfield. So I think Tua is going to have to throw the ball, especially if there's going to be a lot of points and they're going to have to answer, or Baltimore gets up and they have to come from behind. So I love Tua and his over for this one. Because of that, I'm going to back a couple of his wide receivers in Jalen Waddle and Malik Washington. I'm going to play them slightly differently. I think Jalen Waddle definitely has a lot more big play potential. So I took his over 63 and a half receiving yards as well as his anytime touchdown at plus 110. Malik Washington, on the other hand, I went for his receptions at over 3.5 catches for Malik Washington in that one. I think he's going to be more the kind of not gadget guy, but kind of underneath guy that just gets quite a few targets and is able to get at least 4 or 5 catches in this one. And then from a Baltimore Ravens side, I just don't necessarily know how Todd Monken is going to want to play this besides hand King Henry the freaking ball. So I did take Derrick Henry's over 18 and a half rush attempts. When Lamar's there, they don't pass the ball a ton. And even though Derrick Henry has struggled in the past against Miami, I think they're going to try to run the ball down their throats and just hand the ball to Derrick Henry over and over and over again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is going to be really kind of easy because I'm on a lot of the same things here. My main 2 targets in this game were going to be Derrick Henry and Jalen Waddle. I think those are the guys who have the potential to go off. So I'm right there with your Derrick Henry over 18 and a half rush attempts at plus 100 over at Bet365. It's a situation where I think they are going to break the Miami Dolphins' will. This is a team in the Miami Dolphins that has shown, whether it was against the Cowboys, whether it was against Rico Dowdle and his coming out party, the Kamani Vidal, they have let much lesser backs go for triple digits very easily. I love Derrick Henry here. I think they're going to feed him a ton. So I'm on his over rush attempts. I'm on his 90 plus as the baseline start of the ladder for rushing yards. I like him at 120 plus 270. He had a 160 yard game in week 1. That's 11-1. I love Derrick Henry's rushing attempts, his yards. Right now, everything Derrick Henry. I also like his 2+ touchdowns at plus 245. I know that's an insanely low price for 2 touchdowns, but the guy, he did it. He's done it twice this year already. When he gets going, he gets going. And how much are they going to let Lamar run off of that hamstring?
So that's a great point. And I think this could be a little bit different because of the threat of Lamar Jackson. But the last time Derrick Henry played Miami, it was in 2023 at Miami. He had 17 carries for 34 yards. And that's why I think I love the attempts a little bit more than the yards in this one. Just historically, he's played in Miami 4 times. He ran for 34 yards, 26 yards, 9 yards, and 54. So from a rushing yardage standpoint,
board material.
I don't know. Yeah, hopefully Derrick Henry's listening to me. That'd be awesome. But I love his attempts, but in one of those games, he did rush for 2 touchdowns as well. So even without the yards, he still ends up finding the end zone.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, Lamar is not someone who's going to, stick their nose down and get the tough yards at the goal line. Why?
Why would you? You got a battery
human behind you, just hand him the ball. So
Yeah,
yeah, I do think that the historical stuff can take some relevance. I think this Miami's
maybe.
defense is historically bad, and I think they're going to quit. Like this team has shown
Yeah,
they've quit in games, and I really think what's one guy who's going to break your will? It's Derrick Henry. Who's going to want to tackle him while you're down by 20 points? So I like him to get going here. And then on the Miami Dolphins side, Jalen Waddle, you said it, over 63.5 receiving yards. Even when healthy, this secondary is not very good and quite
yep,
they're pretty bad actually.
yep,
And Jalen Waddle is the guy. They've been pretty bad even when they blew out the Bears last week. Aroma
right,
Doomsday went off.
yep,
DJ Moore had a solid game. So
no doubt.
whether this game is close or not close, like I think the Baltimore Ravens are still giving up over 250 yards a game through the air. So I don't mind the Tua play as well. I think Jalen Waddle is the guy that does the yards. And then Malik Washington, like you said, over 3.5, -105 over on Bet365. He's had at least 4 receptions in the past 4 weeks. No Tyreek Hill, no Darren Waller. It's
Yep.
Jalen Waddle and it's Malik Washington and A-Chain on the backfield. Those are the 3 primary targets in this offense. They're going to have to be throwing a lot. That's where they're going to try to have their success. So I love Washington and Waddle. And then my defense, because I can't stay away. Jordan Brooks, linebacker, 10 plus tackles, plus 145 there for total tackles. That is tackles and assists. He is the leading not the league leader, excuse me. I actually think he's up there. He might be the league leader, actually, but he's the team leader in tackles. He's hit double digits in 3 out of past 5 weeks. You can play his over 8.5. It's pretty heavy juiced. I do think he gets there, obviously, but I think just get yourself a little bit of plus money. I think he's going to have 10 tackles. He's going to have to tackle Derrick Henry a bajillion times this game. So that's kind of the
Yeah.
game script I'm going. And then my
He
final thing.
he is the league leader as well with 85 combined tackles.
Thank you for the backup there. Yeah, so I think he easily gets a 10 in a game where I think there's going to be a ton of running. And then I got 2 dart throws I'll give out really quickly. I think it's to your overplay and to what I think this game's going to be. I think there's going to be a lot of points, and I
Yeah.
particularly think the Ravens are going to score. Give me Devontae Walker at 20-1. He's had 2 touchdowns this season already, so a lot of people are
Yep.
like, who the hell is that guy? He's someone that Lamar likes to throw to, apparently. And Patrick Ricard, 35-1.
Ooh,
It's his
big
second
fullback.
game back, I believe. So
Yep.
he's been on the IR. He's coming back. He's been talking about in camp. A fullback. Who doesn't love a fullback touchdown? 35-1. As you can tell, I really think the Ravens are going to score at least 35, 40 points. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a rout there. So you are on the over. I am on the Ravens. We both love Derrick Henry, Jalen Waddle, Malik Washington. You're on Tua. I'm on some defense and a couple dart throws there. What do you have for the people before we get on out of here?
Well, make sure you tell a friend, tell a coworker, hey, print off some little coupons that you can slip into trick or treat bags over this weekend. Hey, tell people what we're doing over here with the Degen Docs on DFSG Plus. We really appreciate all of the support that we've been getting all season. Every like, subscribe, follow that we're getting. We greatly appreciate it. Smash it if you haven't already. It takes 2 seconds. But yeah, we did our college football episode last night. You have your injury report over on IDP Plus tomorrow night, I
Yep.
guess.
Yep.
Talking a little bit of injury reports, mostly on the defense. We'll touch a little bit on the offensive side of things as well. Make sure that for props and fantasy wise, everybody's locked and loaded, ready to roll for a week 9. Which it's scary to say week 9 of the NFL season. We're already halfway through. It's crazy.
We
Man.
are it is insane. Yeah, like Derek mentioned, college has been crushing it this year.
Yep.
Check that out. You're gonna want to see that. We've got a couple spooky plays. We got a couple Halloweens. And to be clear, Derek was saying to pass out, hey, tell somebody go check out the Degen Docs to the parents. Hopefully they're being good parents. They're checking what is in their kids' candy basket things. And they're like, oh, what is this? Oh,
yes.
Way to make money? Degen
Yes.
Docs, right? There you go, YouTube. So not for kids.
Here's a way
over,
that keeps on giving time and time again.
Yes,
it's a little more profitable, life changing.
Yeah, no cavities, just cash.
Yes.
Yes, and we are closing in on 1,000 subscribers. That would be a huge goal for us. It is our first year doing this on this channel. You guys have done really, really awesome. We appreciate it. So we'll keep doing our best to give out winners. All we ask for is a simple like and subscribe. Join the family here over with the Degen Docs on DFSG Plus. You know what they say, folks. A lock a day keeps the bookie away. And here at the Degen Docs, we've got your prescription. From Professor Locks and Doc here on DFSG Plus, we are out of here.